So, what I would like to do is to continue the discussion of the first course on linear algebra to discuss the notion of inner product spaces. Okay. So, let me start with the notion of inner product spaces. See, the notion of vector space generalizes the concept of addition of vectors, scalar multiplication that one is familiar with after doing a course on 2-dimensional or 3-dimensional geometry. The notion of inner product allows us to generalize the notion of dot product of vectors, say which we have studied for 2-dimensional, 3-dimensional vectors. This also allows us to talk about angle between vectors when vectors are orthogonal in a general vector space. The notion of inner product also allows us to talk about the notion of a norm of a vector. Norm of a vector is informally the distance function. So, norm once you have an inner product, you define a norm, and through the norm you can define the notion of distance between vectors, etc. Okay. So, first we will discuss the notion of inner products. So, let me start with the definition of an inner product. It is convenient to start with complex vector spaces to introduce the notion of an inner product. So, I have a complex vector space. So, the first notion is inner product and inner product spaces. Okay. So, I have V as Cn, okay, the space of vectors with n coordinates, each coordinate is a complex number. Cn over C, that is the usual notation. V is Cn, an inner product on V, an inner product on a vector space. An inner product on V is a function which we will denote using these two brackets dot comma dot. This is a function from the cross product V cross V to C. So, in general it is a complex number. The inner product is a function on the cross product. The inner product on V is a function on the cross product. It takes complex values, satisfies the following, is a function which satisfies the following conditions. First condition, okay, I will call it 1, 2, 3, etc. First condition is inner product of x comma x. This must be non-negative for all x in V. The inner product of x with itself must be a non-negative real number. That is the first condition. And as part of the first condition, we also have inner product of x comma x equal to 0 if and only if x is equal to 0. This is part of the second condition. Okay. V cross V is something like the set of all x comma y, x and y coming from V. This function in particular must satisfy this condition. That is the first condition. Second condition is if you look at inner product of x plus y comma z, this must be inner product of x comma z plus inner product of y comma z. It is like additivity with respect to the first argument, additivity with respect to the first argument. This must be true for all x, y, z in V. Condition 3, you look at the inner product of lambda x comma y. Look at the image of lambda x comma y under this function. This must be lambda of the image of x y. This is true for all lambda in C and for all x y in V. That is my third condition. condition 4 is inner product yx, the image of yx is the complex conjugate of the image of x comma y. This must be true for all xy element of V. These are the 4 conditions that an inner product on a vector space must satisfy, and for convenience we are taking this vector space to be the complex vector space, Cn. Okay. There are some names associated with these conditions. The first one is called positive definiteness. First one is positive definiteness of the inner product. It is greater than or equal to 0, and it is equal to 0 if and only if x is 0. So, first property is positive definiteness. Second and third is linearity with respect to the first variable. 2 and 3 together is linearity of the inner product with respect to the first, we can say, argument or the first variable. Linearity with respect to the first argument. We can understand what why its linearity. You have these two notions, additivity and then addition of vectors. How does it behave with respect to that? With respect to the first argument. Similarly, scalar multiplication. Okay. Fourth one is called conjugate symmetry. Property 4 is conjugate symmetry. Okay. Property 4 is conjugate symmetry. In general, an inner product is not linear with respect to the second argument. I will give an example, okay. But before that, let us look at examples of inner products. But even before that, let me tell you that a vector space, this notation we will adopt, a vector space V together with an inner product is called an inner product space. And the notation for an inner product space will be usually V comma this inner product. When the inner product is clear from the context, we will not use this. We will simply say V is an inner product space when the inner product is clear. Okay, so let us look at examples of inner product spaces. See, what I have done is to give an example to start with V as Cn. Okay. I have started with V as Cn. This definition can be given over a general vector space V. Okay. But let us look at the first few examples. This will be over Cn, Rn, etc. So, first example, let us take V to be Rn. See, if you go back to this example, you will see that no property of Cn has been used. What I want is a complex vector space. Okay. What I want is really a complex vector space. So, I can replace this as well by a complex vector space. Okay. So, I will simply say or V equal to Cn or any complex vector space. The property of Cn has not been used. What I need is just a complex vector space or any complex vector space. Which can also include real vector space. So, I look at V as Rn. So, this is a real vector space Rn over R, that is what this means. So, what is the usual inner product? Usual inner product for 2 or 3 dimensional vectors, we will extend it to Rn. Okay. So, let us take xy in Rn, and the notation as before will be x equal to x1, x2, etc. xn, and only for convenience we are writing it as a row vector. So, x is this, y is y1, y2, etc. yn. If these are the coordinates of the vectors x and y, then the inner product on Rn, this is called the usual inner product. We will define this to be summation I equals 1 to n xi yi, summation I equals 1 to n xi yi, coordinate wise product or component wise product. This is the definition. Then you can see that this satisfies the 4 conditions listed here. First condition is inner product of x with itself will be summation I equal to 1 to n xi square. Each xi is a real number, so this sum is non-negative, and each term is non-negative. So, the sum can be 0 if and only if each term is 0. Each term 0 means xi is 0 for all I. So, first condition satisfied. Second condition is satisfied, we have verified. Look at x plus y z. The inner product is linear with this inner product is linear with respect to the first argument. In fact, with respect to the second argument also. Okay, but that's not what we want. 2 and 3 are satisfied trivially. You can check 2 and 3. 4 is satisfied without the bar because it's a real space. Okay, so this is one example. It can be a real space, and I have a real inner product space. So, Rn with the usual inner product is an inner product space. So, let us look at Cn and introduce an inner product. Second example, V is Cn. As before, x and y will be represented by the coordinates x1, etc. xn, y1, etc. yn. This time the inner product is defined as summation I equals 1 to n xi yi bar. Xi yi bar, this is the definition for a complex for Cn. Now, you will see why you need the bar here. By the way, each coordinate here is a complex number. Yi bar means it is a complex conjugate. Okay. Why do you need this? See, if you just take xi yi, it will not be an inner product. Okay. Please, you take this as an exercise, little exercise. It will not be an inner product. For instance, what is inner product x comma x? Inner product x comma x is summation I equals 1 to n xi bar. Okay. That is summation I equals 1 to n mod xi square. Now, this is the reason why you need the complex conjugate here. Now, this is a sum of non-negative real numbers. So, this must be greater than or equal to 0, and if it is equal to 0, then since each term is non-negative, each term must be 0 if it is equal to 0. If the modulus of a complex number is 0, then the complex number itself must be 0. So, each xi will be 0, and so x is 0. Okay, that is the reason why you need the complex conjugate here. I think I will leave it for you to verify that it satisfies the other 3 conditions. Okay, so this is the usual inner product on Cn. This is the usual inner product on Rn. Okay, okay. Maybe I will just write it down. This inner product, the above inner product is referred to as the usual inner product or the standard inner product on Cn, usual inner product or the standard inner product on Cn. we can do a little more general for the third example. We can do a little more general than what we have done for Cn. We can take n positive real numbers. Let T1, okay, I will call it W1, W2, etc. Wn be positive real numbers. I have n positive real numbers. For xy in Cn, I can define an inner product with respect to these numbers. This is another inner product. So I will call it maybe inner product W. Inner product with respect to W. W denotes the set of numbers W1, etc., Wn, each of them being positive. So this inner product is just an extension of the above. It is summation I equals 1 to n. Use these positive real numbers. These are called weights. Use these positive real numbers and then define as before xi, yi bar. These are called weights. The rest is as before. You need them to be positive in order for the positive definiteness of the inner product to be satisfied. In order for condition 1 to be satisfied, you need them to be positive, not non-negative. Even if one of them is 0, it will not be an inner product. So you can verify that this is an inner product. This reduces to example 2 when each of the wi's is 1. Okay. So this is more general than this. Sometimes we may use this. Let us look at other examples. These are for R and Cn. Let us look at Cn cross n, the space of matrices. My fourth example will be the space of matrices. V is Cn cross n. So Cn cross n is the vector space, complex vector space of matrices of order n by n. Complex vector space means that the entries of the matrix are complex numbers. So what is the inner product? What is one possible inner product on V? So let us take AB in V. Let us recall the notion of the trace. The trace of the matrix A. Let us denote it by TRA, trace of A. Is defined as, see it is a square matrix, is defined by, we have seen this definition earlier. Trace of A is summation I equals 1 to n aii, where the notation is A is aij. If the entries of A are denoted by aij, then I look at the sum a11 plus a22 etc. plus ann, that is the trace of the matrix. This is a linear function. For A star, this is A bar transpose. A star will denote A bar transpose. By A bar I mean the complex conjugates of the entries of A, and then I take the transpose, that will be denoted by A star. Okay. What is the inner product? Let us define inner product of two vectors in V, two complex matrices, to be trace of A B star. Trace of A B star. Okay. So can you derive the formula for the trace of A B star in terms of the entries of A and B? If you are given the entries of A and B, what is the formula for the trace? Can you make a guess first?
BII bar. BII bar.
That's what
bar.
That's what you expect to happen.
Yes, because diagonal entries will remain the same.
Because the
See,
transpose.
my question is, what is the guess for trace of AB star? The answer is summation I equals 1 to n aii bii bar. Let us see whether that is correct. See, given two matrices, let us first compute the arbitrary element of the product. Let us say I use C and D. C is Cij, D is Dij. Suppose I want to compute the rth component of the product CD. See, I will assume C and D are in V. Okay, so matrix multiplication is possible, both sides CD, DC, both multiplications are valid. Look at CD. For the product CD, let me calculate say rth component. What is the rth component of CD? Summation CRK DKS, K equals 1 to n. Okay. This is the rth component. Okay. What is the rth component of AB star now? Summation K equals 1 to n AB star. For A I have C, that is A R K. B star, see, it is the kth component of B star, skth component of B. B, Sk, of course it will go with a bar. Okay. Now I want to put R equal to S. Okay, and then I want to sum it over S, isn't it? I must sum it over S. I put R equal to S. I have not made the appropriate change. I will call this S. On one side I have R and the other side I have S. Okay, so this is the formula for the Sth component of AB star. This is the diagonal element of AB star. I must sum all the diagonal elements. So what is the formula then? So I will write that here. Trace of AB star is double summation. I have used R and S, but I will come back to the usual I and J. I equals 1 to n, J equals 1 to k, sorry, J equals 1 to n, Aij, Bij bar. Okay, so this is the formula. Please check this after going home. So this is the formula for the trace of AB star. And so this is the final formula in terms of the entries of A. So please verify that this is again an inner product on this complex vector space V. Okay. Now all these are finite dimensional spaces. Let us look at one example from infinite dimensional spaces. Okay, let us look at one last example coming from infinite dimensional space. One last example of an inner product space. Let us consider V as C01, the space of complex valued continuous functions on the closed interval 0, 1. The vector space of all complex valued continuous functions on 0, 1. Okay, we know that it is a vector space, and we also know that it is an infinite dimensional vector space. It does not have a finite basis. For two elements in V, let us define the inner product by, so what is the most natural, just integral, these are continuous functions, so integrals exist. So simply look at 0 to 1, f of t, since they are complex functions, you have to imitate what you did for the discrete case. gt bar, okay, dt for f and g from V. Then remember the first one is as it is, second one goes with a bar. That is why this is conjugate symmetric, that is it is not linear with respect to the second variable, but conjugate linear with respect to the second variable, linear with respect to the first variable, linear with respect to the first argument. But it is the first property which is important to verify. First property is inner product f comma f. See, that is in integral 0 to 1 mod f square dt. It is a non-negative function, and we know from Lebesgue integration, if you want, that it is a non-negative function, and it is 0 if and only if the integrand is 0. It is a continuous function if the integral is continuous non-negative function, mod f t square dt, continuous non-negative function. If the integral is 0, then the integrand must be 0. Okay. So it's you need to use techniques from integral calculus in some cases to verify that certain inner products are really inner products. So you please verify the other condition. This is an inner product space. V together with this is an inner product space. Okay, so that's a quick review of the definition of an inner product and an inner product space. I want to move on to the notion of a non-linear space, okay. But I will be interested in first norms which are induced by inner products. Okay, so let us look at the following. I have an inner product space. Let V be an inner product space. The norm, well, let us take an arbitrary element in V. The norm of x, the norm of x denoted by this, is defined by norm x is the positive square root of the inner product of x with itself, the norm of a vector in an inner product space. So we are looking at the norm, the so called norm induced by an inner product. Okay. Is it well defined? We are taking the square root of a number. If you look at the inner product space, the first condition, you know that this is a non-negative number. So, and I am also taking the positive square root of this. Okay. So this is a non-negative real number to begin with. The norm of a vector is a non-negative real number. Okay. So let me list the properties that this satisfies. First property I will just write down. So norm of x is greater than or equal to 0 for all x in V. Suppose norm x is 0. Suppose norm x is 0. Okay, that happens if and only if norm x square is 0. If and only if inner product x with x is 0, which happens we know if and only if x is 0. Okay, so this norm has this property, something similar to the property of an inner product, positive definiteness. What are the other properties? I will list them in the form of a result. Let V be an inner product space. Then the following properties hold. property 1 is look at norm of alpha times x. Norm of alpha times x is mod alpha norm x. Mod alpha norm x. This is true for all alpha in C and for x in V. Condition B, look at the inner product of modulus of the inner product of x with y. This is less than or equal to norm x into norm y. This is true for all x y in V. This is called the Cauchy-Schwarz inequality, which you may have encountered in some other context. This is called Cauchy-Schwarz CH inequality. Cauchy-Schwarz inequality connecting the inner product and the norm. It is an inequality. Property 3 is norm of x plus y is less than or equal to norm x plus norm y for all x y in V. This is property 3. This is called triangle inequality. Okay. Triangle inequality. Okay, let us prove this quickly. See, this is a defining equation for the norm. The defining equation for the norm is this, and in probably all the cases we will take norm x square as inner product of x with x and prove all these. So, let us start with the first one. Consider consider norm alpha x the whole square. By definition, this is inner product of alpha x with itself. For the first one, alpha comes out. For the second one, it comes with a conjugate. Okay. Alpha alpha bar mod alpha square norm x square. On the left, I have square of norm alpha x. I can take the positive square root because this is norm is non-negative, modulus is non-negative, again norm is non-negative. I can take the square root to get norm alpha x to be mod alpha norm x. That is the first property. Okay. Then Cauchy-Schwarz inequality. Consider the following. We have for all lambda in C, from the inner product, we have 0 less than or equal to x minus lambda y comma x minus lambda y. First property of the inner product applied to the vector x minus lambda y. For all x y in V. Expand this using the norm. So, this is equal to inner product x with x, inner product x with the minus lambda y, that will go with the conjugate, minus lambda bar x comma y, this term minus lambda yx, the last one will go with the lambda lambda bar, that is mod lambda square, mod lambda square norm y square. Okay. I can rewrite the first one and call it norm x square, that is what it is. So, this is non-negative. Let me call alpha as the number lambda bar x comma y. alpha is the number, complex number lambda bar x comma y. Then the second term is alpha bar, I mean the second term is alpha, the third term is alpha bar. Okay. So this right hand side, so let me go to the other board, I think I will remove this now. Okay. So what I have is 0 less than or equal to norm x square plus, so let me take the term corresponding to y, mod lambda square norm y square, that is the last term, and club the other two. It is plus 2 times alpha plus alpha bar, okay, where alpha is lambda bar xy. Alpha is a minus 2 times, is that okay? Both go with a minus sign. y2, there is no need for 2, yes, but alpha plus alpha bar, that is the real part, 2 times the real part. So this is equal to norm x square plus mod lambda square norm x square minus 2 times real part of alpha. Okay. Now this is true for all lambda. I look at a particular value for lambda, okay. Set lambda to be inner product xy in this order divided by norm y square, okay, if norm y is not 0, that is if y is not 0. So let me rewrite, if y is not 0, y equal to 0 case we need to consider, okay, we will come to that, but that is very easy. So let us look at the case when y is not 0. When y is not 0, this number lambda is well defined. For this lambda, this inequality holds. So what happens to this inequality? Let us just check that. So let me call this 1. Inequality 1 in this case becomes 0 less than or equal to norm x square plus mod lambda square, this is modulus inner product xy square by norm y to the 4, and this goes together with norm y square minus 2 times real part of alpha. Now what is alpha? Alpha is lambda bar xy, okay, from the previous calculations. Alpha is lambda bar xy. What is lambda bar xy in this case? So let us make that calculation somewhere here. What is alpha? Alpha is lambda bar xy, which is lambda bar is again modulus inner product xy the whole square by norm y square. This is alpha, which is a real number, in fact a non-negative real number. So its real part is itself. So this term is minus 2 times, so I will remove this, minus 2 times modulus inner product xy the whole square by norm y square, okay. For this choice of lambda, alpha is a real number, non-negative real number in fact. So I get this inequality. Y is not 0, so norm y is positive. I can multiply throughout by norm y square. Of course this can be cancelled, so this goes with 2, so I will have just these 2. So I am doing this here itself, this simplification of cancelling norm y square in the second term. Now I multiply throughout by norm y square, y is not 0, norm y positive, inequality will remain. So I get 0 less than or equal to, I am multiplying throughout by norm y square. So norm x square, norm y square, this term has a norm y square in the denominator, that vanishes, plus this minus norm y square will get cancelled with this. I get a plus modulus inner product square minus 2 modulus inner product square, that will go with a minus sign, minus modulus inner product square. You push this to the left hand side, you get and take the square roots, which can be done because this is modulus square non-negative, this is non-negative, norm, this is non-negative, so you get Cauchy-Schwarz inequality. Okay. So, what is crucial is this choice of lambda. Let me prove the last one, Cauchy, I am sorry, triangle inequality, and then stop. Let us consider norm x plus y the whole square. This is by definition inner product of x plus y with itself. Again expand this. This is first term norm x square, the last term norm y square plus y with x plus x with y. This is z plus z bar. Z is a complex number, 2 times real part of z bar. So, this is norm x square plus norm y square plus 2 times real part of x comma y. But the real part of a complex number, what is the relationship between the real part of a complex number and the modulus? If z equal to alpha plus ib, then mod z square is alpha square plus beta square, but alpha is less than or equal to modulus alpha is less than or equal to, okay, there is alpha and beta real numbers, alpha less than or equal to, okay, all that I want to say is this clear? Real part of z less than or equal to modulus of z. Take the square root of this, you get this. So, real part is less than or equal to modulus of that. So, this one will be less than or equal to, so maybe I can remove this. Okay. So, this real part is less than or equal to norm x square, these 2 terms plus what did I write, 2 times modulus of the complex number. Now, apply Cauchy-Schwarz inequality. This is less than or equal to norm x square plus norm y square plus mod xy, that is 2 times norm x norm y, but this is norm x plus norm y the whole square. What is inside the bracket is a non-negative number, and this is a norm square. So, both are non-negative, I can take the square root. So, norm x plus y is less than or equal to norm x plus norm y. Okay, so, that is the triangle inequality. I remember that in Cauchy-Schwarz inequality I did not consider the case y equal to 0, okay, but it is trivially satisfied, is not it? If y equal to 0, norm y is 0, so this part is 0, and we know that x comma 0 is 0. We do not know that x comma 0 is 0, but you can prove that it is 0. So, that is the exercise. In any inner product space V, the inner product of a vector with the 0 vector will be 0. Inner product of x comma 0 is 0. That is not part of any of the conditions, but you can prove it. Okay, so, in that case, when y is 0, this is satisfied trivially. Okay, so, let me stop here. Tomorrow we look at we looked at the inner product, that's rather we looked at the norm induced by the inner product. We look at a general norm, definition of a general norm just for completeness, and look at the notion of orthogonal or the notion of orthogonality in a vector space, and probably if time permits discuss the Gram-Schmidt orthogonalization process. Okay. So, let me stop here.